Yeah, I decided to join the Navy, and I talked to my brother into joining with me. And there's my twin brother. And the only difference in our record was the first letter in the name. Mine starts with L and his with an F. And all the rest of it's the same. And we, in the Navy, we had a ball together. And it helped because if I stayed someplace overnight, didn't get back to the ship, he'd do my work. And it's just something that sailors did, we didn't think nothing about it. But when we went to, got in the Navy, when we went to the South Pacific, we went over and picked up prisoners of war and brought them home. That's the first get together with people like that, because we was the latter part of the service in the Navy. And we picked these prisoners of war up. Boy, I'll tell you, I heard some pretty good stories from most guys. And there's one guy that said that he hadn't lost no weight or no nothing. We asked him how he did it. He said it's real simple. You eat bugs. And I said, now since then I've heard that this is true. And but I never could get up enough nerve to try that. But when we went to Japan, then we was on the coast of Japan in a typhoon when the war was over, and we went up there to do little bombarding, and the war got over, and we went and picked these prisoners up. Then we went back up to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and I went and walked all over both those towns, and I never had not one person said a bad word to me. Not one person got thrown rocks or nothing like they do over there now. But I walked all over them, over down to Hiroshima. I walked that place, went in the warehouse, got me a rifle and a bayonet, brand new, and nobody said anything to me. The women would all let me hold their babies, Yeah, they was a friendly bunch of folks. We wouldn't realize that we'd been at war, but we had. So when we got discharged before we'd come home, we got discharged, and I decided I wanted to go back in the Army. I wanted to make it my career, and I went in the Army. And the Army was different. First off, they lied to me. Which is normal for them, I think. I said, now, I've been in the South Pacific. I don't want to go back. I want to go to EKO. I want to go over to Europe. And they said, okay. I said, guaranteed, okay. And when I got in there, the first place I went, Guam, South Pacific. And I said, why? And they said, well, you're a diesel mechanic and they need you. And I got to Guam, and the diesel mechanic that they needed so bad, they put in there as a clerk typist. And I never touched a typewriter in my life. And they said, that old sergeant said, you're a clerk typist now. And I said, no, I'm not. He said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. And he said, we'll see. And I said, okay. So I just sat there. 3 days, I just sat there. I didn't touch nothing. And finally, that old sergeant come out and said, well, we're going to have to do something with you. And I said, okay, do it. But I'm not a clerk typist. And he said, well, we found that out real quick, didn't we? I said, I knew that before we got started. And they put me outside and put me in charge of the motor pool. I was in charge of the vehicles. And we had a 110-ton floating crane. We had 6 mobile cranes, and we had 3 track cranes, and I was in charge of all that. And I said, I don't know. He said, yes, you do. You're in charge of it, period. That's it. I said, this is Army. And so I went over there, and I had a lot of good help, and I stayed in there, and we got after it, and I enjoyed that a lot because I was doing what I liked to do, and we was doing a lot of things, and then one day after I'd been in there all this time, there was a guy called me, said, he come up to me and said, I want you to come go with me. And I said, okay. I went with him, and he said to me, he says, "How'd you like to go home?"